Almost every day since lockdown 1 was announced, rain or shine, I've left my 3-bed semi, turned right on Bell's Chase and right again on Crayston Way, and found my way to the donkey fields. Despite the name, the donkey fields are an area of woodland about 600 metres by 600 metres, and there aren't any donkeys there. But they revitalized my emotional and spiritual life. It's the trees mainly. They're so big and unhurried and unbothered by me. Somehow, underground, they're passing stimuli to one another. And when I breathe in, they're generating the oxygen that gives me life. Being with the trees forces me to look up in wonder and widen my perspective. I lift my eyes to the branches, and that makes me aware of my smallness and temporary nature, and that I don't have roots like them. Somehow, God and me make connections at heart level in the donkey fields that we don't make in my spare room, just 10 minutes walk to the north. In Job 38, God and Job make a connection in the whirlwind that they can't have made in any other conditions. And I don't mean that I'm like Job or that the donkey fields are like a whirlwind. But I am saying that it is the same unconfined, wonder-inspiring Creator God who contacted Job in storm clouds, who is seeking our attention right now. Job is in pain, homeless, and bereaved, and has been listening to his judgmental friends criticizing him for the last 35 chapters. If I'd been God, I'd have given him a hug and some reassurance. I'd have helped him to find a few answers. But God, who knows what Job needs better than I do, unsettles him and buffets him with a tornado and bombards him with a series of unanswerable questions about the natural world. Have you ever seized earth like a blanket and shaken out the wicked like cockroaches? Was it through your wisdom that the hawk learned to fly? The words are as overwhelming as the whirlwind. Oh, we learned in lockdown that God is domestic. God loves to make his home in our households. But we need now to learn with Job that God is not domesticated, that God is the God of the whirlwind, the infinite, unspeakable, untamable storm father, a bigger God than our settled homebody brains ever imagined. Effectively, this is a third creation story. The first in Genesis 1 was like Thomas the Tank Engine. The world is safe and ordered, and human beings can find meaning within its rules. The second, in Genesis 2, was a bit like In the Night Garden. The world is like a garden, and human beings are its loving stewards. But this version, outside the walls and barriers and answers that keep us comfortable, is more like where the wild things are. In this version of the creation story, there is danger and wonder and sea monsters to play with. If you've been experimenting with forest church or other forms of outdoor church, can I plead with you not just to do it because the COVID restrictions make that easier, or because you think children or their grandparents will enjoy it. Do it because there's something healthy and perspective giving about meeting God in the open air and letting him blow away the cobwebs of quarantine. If there's wind and rain, don't let that put you off. Perhaps your encounter with God will be more like Job's because of it. A gale may endanger your carefully made plans, but let's be honest, an exhilarating little bit of chaos may be exactly what your soul most needs. As George Herbert put it, storms are the triumph of God's art. Jesus' disciples certainly learned more about God on the lake in a storm than they would have done in a synagogue. They learned that there is great power in the natural world, vast, unspeakable power that they were unable to counter, even as experienced seafarers, even when Jesus was in the boat. But they learned something else. They learned that Jesus had only to speak the word and the storms would subside. The word fear comes in that gospel passage, but it doesn't come where you might expect, when the disciples think they're going to drown. No, the word fear comes at the end, after the calm has suddenly fallen. They felt great fear and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." The fear of being in a storm was only a foretaste of the fear, the awe, the wonder of realizing that Jesus has more power in a casual, quiet word of command than all of raging, thundering, gale-force creation doing its damnedest to capsize a boat. Jesus is awesome, but he's awesome like a tornado is awesome, not awesome like a boy band is awesome. So, the point of this sermon is, take a walk if you're able. Notice the weather, notice the breeze, notice the rain, if applicable. Smell the scent of leaf mold. Show the trees the kind of respect that puts you in your place. They won't notice it, but it will do you good. Don't misunderstand me. God wasn't humiliating Job, but humbling him. Not putting him down, but putting him in his place. God doesn't need Job's awe because God is needy. But God knows that Job needs his eyes opened wide in wonder. God cannot get bigger in the universe, but it's good for us when God gets bigger in our eyes and hearts. And when I feel even a little awe for nature, I can turn to Jesus and remember he is greater, vaster, more awesome still. And his power surpasses what I can grasp with my little brain full of answers, as much as the rainforests of the Amazon surpass the donkey field.